Hi, I'm Patricia Banassi, and I'm an astrologer, business mentor, and public speaker. The question I get asked the most is, I cannot plan, and I don't like to plan. Why would I even need to create a plan? So many women come to me and say, I really dislike planning, which is fine. We all know there are people who are really naturally good at planning, and there are people who hate it. Now, in this video, I'm going to give you a few tips to help you and to reframe the idea that you dislike planning. There are a lot of reasons why you might dislike planning. One of those things, and one of those I hear very often, is that they say that it blocks their creativity. Which, if you think about it, it does make sense. If you have a plan, a strategic plan, and there's no wiggle room for anything to come in, then definitely it blocks your creativity, because then you're asked to be creative in certain fields, in certain tasks, and it's kind of forcing your creativity. So yes, I definitely agree with that. In that case, it will be blocking your creativity. But if you turn it around and think about the tasks that always need to happen anyway, that might be writing your newsletter, that might be creating new content, whether it's video, whether it's writing blogs or podcasts. There are these things in your business that always need to happen. Meeting up with your team and stuff like that. That has to be in a schedule. We all get that. We all understand that. But then when it comes to the creative process, nope, cannot do that. Creativity cannot be forced. But there are times in your own cycle, in your menstrual cycle, where your creativity peaks. And that is in your follicular phase up to your ovulation phase. That's when you have your creativity peak. At the same time, in your astrological chart, in combination with what's happening right now, there are also pockets of creative energy. Now, if you know that those moments are coming up, you can schedule your creative process. If your creative process looks something like coming up with new ideas, new content, not the writing, not the actual execution part of it, but the coming up with the ideas for the content. If you can put all of that into that creativity phase, you use that time in the most optimal sense. So then when you have your more focused time, your analytical time of the month, which is more your luteal phase, that's when you can start writing them. That's when you can actually start to create the content. Not think about it, but create it, make it. This is very specific for each person, but I highly recommend you to start tracking your cycle and then understanding where it is that you're creative. Where is it where you're more focused? Where is it that you need more rest? Because I hear you thinking, I don't need the rest, but you definitely do need the rest. And your menstrual phase is the perfect time to rest. Doesn't mean that you have to take a whole week off, but make sure that you schedule some space in your calendar. So if you know that ahead, you know that the week before your menstrual phase, you will start to schedule more things, batch things, so that when you're in your menstrual phase, you can actually take a step back. Maybe that's just for 1 hour on your first day. Maybe that's a whole afternoon. Maybe that's a whole first day of your cycle. That's up to you. When you plan that, funny thing that happens, and that I've seen happen over and over again, that my clients come back and say, I'm actually more creative. The more that I schedule, the more that I'm creative. And there's a very simple explanation for that. If you have the tasks that need to get done anyway, in your planning, it doesn't take up any more mental space. The mental space is gone. The mental space not gone. There is mental space for other things, like your creativity. It gives you so much more ease, so much more confidence, so much more laid back feeling. One of my clients, for instance, she had scheduled her months around one theme. That's usually what I do as well. There's one theme each month that comes throughout everything that I put out. Doing that makes it so much easier to connect your content to. It makes it so much easier to reach out to your followers. It is so much easier to find new clients if your message is in alignment with your energy. So these topics are not just picked out of thin air, or just like, oh, this feels okay. No, they're actually based on what is happening in the sky with your cycle, where you're at, which season of life you're in, which season your business is in. And then that topic that you've picked is really in alignment with your energy. So I'm not talking about the planning where you just throw a bunch of things on paper and that's it. No, these ways of planning and strategizing really comes from putting your energy first. Now I know this is a shift that you have to make, and it takes some time to really get there and to listen to your own energy. But the more you tune into that, the easier it is to not just run your business, because this doesn't just talk about your business. Of course, here I am, but it does also affect your life. It does affect your community, your friends, everybody you interact with. Because if you have more energy, then that will ripple to the people around you. If you stay more with your own energy, know when to align yourself with your creativity, with your resting phase, with your productivity, with your focused energy. The more that you do that, the less energy you waste, the less energy you lose. Energy is something that once it's gone, it's gone. We cannot have it back. So if we can be very mindful with the way that we spend our energy, that ripples into the way that we spend our time. So if you're still skeptical, I highly challenge you to think about this concept. And not just one day, not 2 days, but for a whole month. Think about it. Listen to your energy. Track your cycle. And then you will be able to really tune into that feeling of, okay, so my energy is here right now. This is what I can do. And this is how I can use it. So, if you still dislike planning, you need to challenge yourself to reframe. The more that you schedule, the more that you plan, the more freedom you will experience and the more creativity you will feel.